Sometimes I even have trouble getting through it. For most of us here, it is also a very special program with a very special meaning. The ceremony is unique only to Relay for Life. That's why we place these decorated luminary bags all along the entire track area. And that's why we have included these two lighted words on the top of our hill, hope and cure. If you'll notice, hope is facing to the east, sun rises in the east, and cure is facing to the west. They are not both synonymously together because hope and cure are still far apart. For most of us here tonight, it's during the luminary projection ceremony that the true meaning of Relay for Life has its greatest impact. It represents a time to remember that those who lost their life to cancer will never be forgotten, that those who face cancer will be supported, and recognizes many of those individuals who have become survivors of this deadly disease. We passed out a little flyer to you tonight, and if you've noticed, if you have a chance to read that, the first two sung artists on that piece of paper died of cancer. Ryan Piccolo and the gal that sang Songbird. And isn't that really why we're here tonight? Isn't that really why you're here tonight? We devote so much time to fighting this disease, and many of you come back here year after year to do just that. For all of us who participate in Relay for Life, we dedicate a lot of time, effort, and energy to hold this event. Every year as this event takes place, I have to ask myself, I've been in it now for 13 years, I think I'm going to retire. I had 8 years in Bay City and 5 years here in Auburn, and I guess I'm getting too old for this stuff. I ask myself, though, why are we still doing this? And every year the answer is very simple and always the same. We do this because we care what happens to those we know and love whose lives have been impacted by a life-threatening disease called cancer. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Thanks for the tip. Maybe even as important, we care for those individuals whose lives will also be changed by cancer in the future. You hear a lot about this word, cancer. It's a very frightening word if you've ever had cancer. I went through it. I was scared out of my wits. But it isn't just one disease. It might be one word, but it's not just one disease. It's actually over 100 different diseases with one common factor. And that common factor is the uncontrolled growth of runaway cells. That makes it a tough nut to crack. I've had people over the years ask me, how come they can't find a cure for cancer? How come they can't find a cure for cancer? That's the reason why. It's not just one disease, it's many diseases. My father died of stomach cancer. My mother died of leukemia. There's tumor cancers, there's all kinds of cancers. Lung, you name it. Colon, which is what I had. As I walked around this track again today, and I do this every year, it's kind of a ritual with me. I can't help but notice the names, the words, and the artistry that many of you put on those white decorated luminary bags. Many of the names were of someone I knew. There's over 225 on that track. Many of the names were of someone I did not know. But as I input each name into tonight's luminary presentation ceremony, I felt honored to have had that privilege. And I felt that I knew them all. Two of the names I input today were those of my mother and father. Maybe your mother or father's name was also a part of tonight's ceremony. Maybe you had an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, a sister, daughter, brother, grandchild. There was a young lady just up on the stage this afternoon. I think her name was Sarah Boozer. Sarah told me her name was not in the program for tonight. Sarah's name is in the program. I'm running the show. Sarah's in it. To be a part of tonight's luminary ceremony is one of the highlights of my life as a survivor of cancer. Today I thank God for the opportunity to help fight this disease with all of you. And isn't that the bottom line? Saving the life of someone with cancer, making a difference, one life at a time. And I'm going to talk about that point a little bit later on tonight, this making a difference thing. And I guess I would be remiss if I didn't address a comment to all of you out in this audience tonight, especially all of these team members that are here, especially all of these committee members. Shelby Thompson had the chairmanship this year. Kelly Krieger had it last year. They're both doing tremendous jobs. And there's a lot of work involved. And like I said, I would be remiss if I didn't say something about you in the audience. And those of you who have continued to be involved in Relay for Life, you have my greatest respect and admiration. Where would Relay for Life be without all of you? Cancer survivors can't put this ceremony on. It takes non-cancer survivors. I have a narrative story that I want to share with you tonight. I titled it Relay for Life, Saving Lives One Life at a Time. A stranger was walking around a large relay track area at mid-morning. As he walked along, he noticed another man at the far end of the distant track. As he grew nearer, he noticed the person was writing something on a white paper bag, then placing it on the track area. Time and time again, he repeated the same procedure. As the stranger approached even closer, he noticed that the man was holding several white decorated bags that he had brought with him. One at a time, he placed them onto the track area in a circular pattern. The stranger was puzzled by this activity. So he approached the man and said, "Good morning, friend. I was wondering what you are doing." "I'm placing these white bags on this relay track area," he said. "You see, every one of these bags represents someone whose life was affected by cancer. That's why all over the country we're working through relays like this one to help save as many lives as we possibly can. By this evening, there will be thousands of these luminary bags completely circling the entire track area, even where you're standing. Many of the decorated bags will represent people who are survivors of this disease." The stranger took this all in and said, "I understand, but there must be many more bags here which represent people who did not survive their cancer. No one was able to save any of them." He went on, "Don't you realize all over this country of ours there are millions of people dying from this disease? Can't you see that you can't possibly make a difference?" The older man smiled, turned and picked up yet another white bag. And as he had done a few times before, he wrote the word survivor on it. It was again for someone he knew. But as he placed the decorated bag onto the track area, he looked at the stranger and said, "You made a difference for this one." The narrative you have just heard is a story that did not happen. I know because I wrote it. However, what is factual is the implied message that I wanted to get across to you tonight through this story. We are making a difference, saving lives one at a time. As a cancer survivor, you are a part of that difference, and so is every survivor here tonight. I thank all of you for coming tonight to honor and remember so many people whose lives have been changed in every way possible by this disease. It is to them and to you that we dedicate this program in the hope that someday cures will be found for every type of cancer, thereby providing life for those now and for those who will follow us as survivors of this disease. And at this time, I would like to get the luminary ceremony going, and the presenter of tonight's program is Jeff Stevens, and Jeff has his crew ready, I think, to do a little skit for you folks tonight. So.